Scott just made the point. Jefferson seems to be a lot more secure, not just.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta. You know, before running a 26-mile marathon, highly trained athletes indulge in carbo loading. That's eating tons of carbohydrates like pasta and bread to give the body a big and long-lasting shot of energy so that they will have the endurance to persevere. Now, before drinking my way through a 2 or even 3-hour presidential debate drunk blog, this highly trained blogger also carbo loads with a massive sandwich for lunch and a giant bowl of pasta for dinner to provide a cushion for the outrageous amount of alcohol hitting my bloodstream so that I might live to drunk blog another debate. But before I leave here and order my beef on weck with french fries and onion rings for lunch, let's handicap the second Republican presidential debate with my partners in prognostication, Bill Whittle and the incredibly lifelike Scott Ott. Gentlemen, we're now down to a mere handful of contenders, just 16 survivors after former Texas Governor Rick Perry dropped out on Friday. So, Scott, first question to you, since you're down there in Texas. Were you surprised that Perry, who's arguably one of the most successful governors in U.S. history, are you surprised that he dropped out before the second debate? Couldn't he have stayed in just a week longer?
Well, he didn't have any money to pay anybody. That was an issue. And over the course of the last several weeks, he has been cutting people from his paid staff little by little. And I think it finally got to the point where they weren't sure that they would have anybody to, drive him to the debate or something. So it really doesn't surprise me that I exaggerate a bit, but it really doesn't surprise me that Perry dropped out. What really surprises me is that he stayed in as long as he did. He's just absolutely terrible on the stump when he tries to read his speeches, because he looks like he's reading his speeches. When he doesn't try to read his speeches, then he's prone to mistakes. The only thing that Rick Perry does really good is, hand-to-hand retail politics, meeting and greeting the folks and talking to people. He's the most sincere person you ever want to meet face-to-face, as I did last year in Fort Worth. And, of course, the only other thing he does really well is serve as a chief executive of a large government. So, we don't want that kind of guy in the White House.
No, couldn't.
Well, of course not. He'd hardly make the cut. Not nearly crazy enough. Scott, I'm going to get back to you with a follow-up in just a minute. But first, Bill, I'm happy to report to you that Carly Fiorina made the cut this time, and she'll be sharing the main stage with the other top-tier candidates. Now, I don't know if she's a real contender or not, but I like the way she fights. Do you hope that this time around she'll train her sights on Donald Trump, or would she do better to stay focused on Hillary Clinton like she's been doing all along?
Oh, please, let's stay focused on Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump's his own worst enemy when it comes to these kind of comments about Carly and things. Just let Donald Trump talk. It's that old saw, right, Steve? The old saw is, liberals want conservatives to shut up and conservatives want liberals to keep talking. When somebody's got a tendency to put their foot in the mouth, then why would you stoop to their level and start slinging mud if half the mud they sling ends up back in their own face? Carly needs to stay focused on Hillary Clinton, and she needs to do it for two reasons. Number one, because there's a great deal of political hay to be made there, and number two, she understands, surely she understands, everybody understands, that if Hillary Clinton becomes the Democratic nominee, then in the age of this kind of identity politics, the only person that's going to be able to attack Hillary Clinton with impunity is another woman. I find this despicable and disgusting and also true. Now, that's not to say that somebody like Donald Trump couldn't do it, because as I think I mentioned in my last Afterburner, I don't think Donald Trump much cares. And that's about the only thing I really genuinely like about the guy. So it's not a given, but I think she is clearly the most effective critic of Hillary Clinton. And most importantly, I think Carly Fiorina provides an alternative for women to believe in, an alternative political system, an alternative economic system, and without question, an alternative moral code that is a pretty attractive sell for her.
Yeah, you reminded me of the first rule of holes, Bill. When you're in one, stop digging. And then there's Steve's first rule of holes, which is when your opponent is in one, hand him a bigger shovel. And now I've got the Trump corollary for the rule of holes, which is when your opponent is in a hole, hand him the biggest, most luxurious shovel anybody ever saw anywhere. All right, Scott, back to you. You know it's going to be another madhouse with 11 candidates up there on the same stage Wednesday night. Can we expect anything of substance to come out of this thing?
Well, I don't expect anything of substance. I mean, obviously, when you're in this kind of a format and getting, getting to speak at 30 seconds at a time, and as some of the candidates complained during the last debate, what was it, Ben Carson, who said, "Gee, I wasn't sure you were going to get back around to me." Sometimes you feel like you must feel like an idiot standing up there listening to the other 10 people speak and not getting a question. So, no, I don't think it's the best forum, obviously, for substance. It is a good forum to essentially see how people handle pressure. And I think Carly Fiorina will do well if she avoids trying to use sarcastic humor. She doesn't do that well. Mike Huckabee does it beautifully. He can pull it off. He's very gracious at doing that. And Carly Fiorina, if she just continues to be herself, will do quite well. What I'd like to see, frankly, out of this debate is a Bobby Jindal or a Scott Walker finally get his legs under him and start to be the man that he really is, and get an opportunity to speak to the American people. Because, frankly, Jindal's one of the smartest people I've ever seen in politics, and Walker has one of the best track records.
Yeah, it's a shame neither one of these guys has really found their sea legs yet, because both have been hyper competent as governors, but so far they failed completely to connect with national voting audiences. Bill, CNN is hosting this one, unlike Fox that did the first debate. Do you think that's a mistake on the part of the RNC?
Not really, not at this point. I mean, I think I said also, the thing I like most that I've seen about Donald Trump was when he took that question from that CNN reporter, and there were like 8 protesters outside and like 9,000 supporters, and they led with the protest. He says, "What's the matter with you? Where are you from?" "What? CNN? CNN." Just this wave of the hand dismissiveness. Look, when you get down to the actual presidential debates, then you've got to be sane. Then you've actually got to be sane. If we do not have a jury selection panel for these moderators in the actual debates, where you put 20 candidates up, we put 20 candidates. No, the defense juror number 5 is dismissed with our thanks, Candy Crowley. You won't be jumping in to save another candidate this time. Or you can have Candy Crowley and George Stephanopoulos, and we'll have Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh. That's fine, works for me too. Whatever you want to do. But if we don't do that in the real debates, then we generally don't deserve to win. But I don't think it's a factor here. Let me just say this. I think that the people right now are there are the bottom tier 5 that are the people in danger here. Donald Trump's not going away. The top 5 candidates are not going away. There are a number of people. I couldn't tell you half of the 11 people, and I'm in this business, honestly. I'd really have to really stretch to come up with all 11 names. And those 4 or 5 people that are going to be there, but the guy, that guy. If those people don't have breakout performances, then I think we're going to start getting this field down to about 7. And when you get it down to about 4 or 5, it's going to start to get to be serious.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll happen after Iowa, New Hampshire, I think, maybe after South Carolina. Folks, these debates, they're just broken. The style of the 2012 debate cycle was to cram the stage with enough candidates to serve as an electric light orchestra road crew, then have them repeat as many rehearsed talking points as possible in each 60-second response in the cadence of a coked-up jackrabbit. It was nuts. Now, the best American presidential debate I've ever seen was almost 30 years ago. It was Bruce Babbitt versus Pete DuPont in 1988. 2 men, 2 chairs, 2 glasses of water, and this 90-minute free-form discussion of issues and ideas between 2 serious and well-informed candidates. Now, why can't the GOP do something similar even with 15 or 16 candidates? Maybe the RNC could host a week-long series of debates, each limited to a rotating selection of 3 candidates, 1 A-list candidate and 2 B-list candidates per debate. Now, the big names would draw in the viewers while allowing lesser knowns to compete toe-to-toe without getting lost on that crowded stage. Give them a chance to break out, as Bill said. And no moderators, just a free-form discussion of issues and ideas between serious and well-informed candidates. Isn't that something you'd like to see? I know I would. For Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, I'm Steve Green, and meet me at pjmedia.com at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday for the kind of debate you don't want to see and for the kind of drinking we're all going to need. I'll see you then.
Bring back Thunderdome.